question, the member from Toronto Danforth.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, my question to the Premier. In 2015, then Energy Minister Bob Chiarelli promised that the privatization of Hydro One wouldn't drive up hydro rates. In fact, he said, and I will quote, Hydro One will now be an even stronger performing, customer service-focused company.
Order, please. Please carry on.
And any efficiencies created can be passed on to customers to help reduce rates, unquote. While late last Friday, Hydro One filed its distribution rate application for 2018 to 2022. Instead of reducing rates as promised, Hydro One wants a 6.5% rate increase next year.
What's going on? Question.
And a total increase of 20% by 2022.
Wow.
20%. Will the Premier finally admit what 80% of Ontario...
Thank you. Premier, Minister of Energy.
Mr. Speaker, very pleased to rise and address this, Mr. Speaker. So let's remember something important here too, Mr. Speaker. Our government is lowering bills by 25% on average for households, as many as 500,000 small businesses and farms starting this summer, Mr. Speaker. It's the single largest reduction in the province's history, with rates also held to inflation for the next 4 years, Mr. Speaker. We will achieve this reduction no matter the outcome of this application, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Hydro One's rural customers will be seeing even greater reductions from our Fair Hydro plan, Mr. Speaker. We're expanding the support for these customers facing the highest delivery costs in the province, Mr. Speaker, including Hydro One's rural customers. As a result, some of these Ontarians will see reductions as large as 40 to 50% on their bills, Mr. Speaker. These are truly substantial savings, and the Fair Hydro plan, Mr. Speaker, will work for all.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. In 2015, the Premier's privatization czar, Ed Clark, said, quote, private sector discipline would mean lower rates for Hydro One customers. Private sector discipline means that Hydro One CEO's salary is now 6 times what the previous CEO had been earning, paid for by ratepayers. Private sector discipline means that Hydro One is fighting to keep the benefits of a $2.6 billion tax cut that would normally benefit ratepayers. And now, private sector discipline means a 20% increase for Hydro One, so Ontario families can pay more profits to private investors. Ontario ratepayers can't afford any more private sector discipline.
Question.
Will the Premier stop her short-sighted sell-off of Hydro One and return it to public ownership?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again,
Be seated, please. Be seated, please. Thank you, Minister of Energy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Again, the OEB, our judicial regulator, makes sure that they will review this application, and as in the past, Mr. Speaker, they have denied applications, they have decreased applications, Mr. Speaker, and of course we're not going to prejudge where they're going to go with this, Mr. Speaker, unlike the opposition. When it comes to Hydro One, Mr. Speaker, as mentioned, $60 million in savings that do benefit and go back to the ratepayers, Mr. Speaker, unlike what the opposition is saying, Mr. Speaker. Again, better run company, Mr. Speaker. Voluntarily bring forward introducing that.
Member from Hamilton East Stony Creek, come to order. Carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Of course, introducing a voluntary ban on winter disconnections, Mr. Speaker, giving customers choice with billing cycles, helping them better manage their bills, Mr. Speaker. And let's not forget, Mr. Speaker, with the Fair Hydro plan, a 40 to 50% reduction for Hydro One, R1 and R2 customers, Mr. Speaker.